God is love. Our race is human. Our religion is oneness. That's the creed of the heart. Our God is love. Our race is human. Our religion is oneness. Amen. Our God is love. Our race is human. Our religion is oneness. That's the creed of the heart. Our God is love. Our race is human. Our religion is oneness. Amen. Our God is love. Our race is human. Our religion is oneness. That's the creed of the heart. Our God is love. Our race is human. Our religion is oneness. Amen.
I am Reverend Penny Honey, and welcome once again to Unity of Flagstaff. Thank you for joining us here on our YouTube channel at youtube.unityofflagstaff.org. It is always our joy to be with you and spend some time with you as we share message and music. Be sure and check out what's going on in this ministry at www.unityofflagstaff.org. You can, of course, donate there or send in your donations to P.O. Box 1740 here in Flagstaff at 86002. I want to remind you that we have a 24-hour prayer vigil coming up that will start on Wednesday at 5 p.m. and end on Thursday at 6 p.m. That's September 9th and 10th. This is Unity's World Day of Prayer. This year we are affirming, standing in truth, we move from fear to faith. Won't you support our global community and this community by participating in World Prayer Day? Our sanctuary will be open 24 hours. All physical distancing rules, masks of course required, will be in place. There will be no more than 10 people in the sanctuary at a time. We will have a facilitator each hour of that 24 hours, calling out prayer requests and inspirational readings, along with reading the names of every country on the planet. If there's ever been a time that prayer consciousness is so in need, this is it. Won't you join us? Check out the details, of course, on our website at www.unityofflagstaff.org. And now I would like for you to enjoy the music of Ryan Biter. Ryan is doing a song today called Ain't No Reason. It is a song written by Brett Dennen. It is hauntingly poignant, and it fits right in with today's message, which is put your white away, the positive and perils of tradition. Thank you again. Enjoy.
There ain't no reason things are this way. It's how it's always been and they intend to stay. I can't explain why we live this way, but we do it every day. Preachers on the podium speaking of saints, prophets on the sidewalks begging for change, old ladies laughing from the fire escape, cursing my name. I got a basket full of lemons and they all taste the same. A window and a pigeon with a broken wing. You could spend your whole life working for something just to have it taken away. People walk around pushing back their debts, wearing paychecks like necklaces and bracelets, talking about nothing, not thinking about death. Every little heartbeat, every little breath. People walk a tightrope on a razor's edge, carrying their hurt and hatred and weapons. It could be a bomb or a bullet or a pen, a thought or a word or a sentence. There ain't no reason things are this way. It's how it's always been and they intend to stay. I don't know why I say the things I say, but I say them anyway. But love will come, set me free. Love will come, set me free. I do believe that love will come, set me free. I know it will. Love will come, set me free. Prison walls still standing tall. Some things never change at all. Keep on building prisons, gonna fill them all. Keep on building bombs, gonna drop them all. Working your fingers bare to the bone. Breaking your back will make you sell your soul. Like a lung filled with coal, suffocating slow. The wind blows high and I may move. Politicians lie and I am not fooled. You don't need no reason or three-piece suit to argue the truth. The air on my skin, the world under my toes. Slavery stitch the fabric of my clothes. Chaos and commotion wherever I go. Love I try to follow. Love will come, set me free. Love will come, set me free. I do believe that love will come, set me free. I know it will. That love will come, set me free. There ain't no reason things are this way. It's how it's always been and they intend to stay. I can't explain why we live this way, but we do it every day.
Thank you, Ryan. I appreciate how that song makes us feel and how it makes us think. There ain't no reason things are this way. It's how they've always been and how they intend to stay. I can't explain why we live this way, but we do it every day. Tradition. You know, in today's environment, tradition is being equated to values. Traditional family values, to history. And some of that is true, absolutely. That is what tradition has to do with. But you know, when we look at some of the crazy traditions that we have just in this country, it's a little hard to understand how traditions get tied back to values, actually. You know, for instance, the presidential turkey pardon. What the heck is that about? 1863 with President Lincoln that was started, and they're still doing it. Groundhog Day, that's another big one. Don't forget Cherry Pit Spittin' in Michigan. That's a big one. And you know, Chandler, Arizona is famous because of its ostrich racing. Seriously, how about that? The biggest ostrich race in America. And don't forget the hollering contest that takes place in Spivey Corner, North Carolina. And how about that not wearing white after Labor Day? So what is that all about? I've heard it all my life. And I've heard people be judged because they had white on after Labor Day. The rule was actually created to separate the old money elitists from the new money elitists. Because those who had the money and could leave the city during the summer when it was warm, well, white was considered a vacation color. How do you feel about that tradition now? Put your white away. The power and perils of tradition. Putting your white away can have a lot of nuances in today's world, and that was the point. Have we stopped to consider if the traditions that we hold that are so dear to us, have we stopped to wonder if they advance our consciousness? Do they serve us today? You've heard that story about the woman that cut the ends of the ham off. Nobody knew why. It was because her great-grandmother's pan couldn't hold the ham. Why do we do the things we do today? I don't know. But if traditions that we hold so dear to us really are examined, and we take a look at them, we can actually stand back and say, you know how people are talking about sheep? You know, those who wear masks and those who don't wear masks. And there's this little thing out there about you're just a sheep, that kind of thing. So I'm just curious about that. I wonder if the people that have that opinion about that particular subject, and I'm not stating an opinion, I wear a mask. I don't right now because you couldn't see my face, and that would be a bummer on this video. But the people that hold that opinion, I'm just curious. Have they considered if their practices and their beliefs around the freedoms that they think are being imposed on, if that actually applies to today's world? Does that thought actually apply in this case? And that is a rhetorical question. So what I can tell you is this. Somerset Maugham reminds us in this quote, "Tradition is a guide, not a jailer." Tradition, the official definition, is this: statements, beliefs, legends, customs, information, etc., that passes from generation to generation, especially by word of mouth or by practice. Another definition of the word tradition is this: a continuing pattern of cultural beliefs or practices. We all have them. We all practice them. Traditions. You know, according to Tevye in Fiddler on the Roof, traditions are what keep us in balance. Traditions. Balance. That's what they believed. Now, it didn't work so well for his little village, at least not in that show. However, it is, in fact, a popular belief. Now, I'm not talking about us throwing away all of our traditions. I'm not belittling or even bemoaning the fact that we have traditions. What I'm inviting you into is to look at them, to take a peek. In fact, traditions are innate in our nature. We are the only animal in the animal kingdom that has the propensity to develop customs and traditions. In fact, thousands of cultures have been built on our ability and need to develop traditions. That's the power of tradition. It truly can hold people together. It truly can create a base of belief and connection. That's the power of tradition. Tradition is an examination of what we hold dear. And when you come upon someone who is practicing their tradition wholeheartedly, have you ever watched somebody go through a Christmas tradition or a holiday tradition? It's inspiring. They have so much belief in that tradition, and it's inspiring to watch it be implemented. Many family traditions teach discipline and mold the future generations into positive members of society. You know, baking cookies with their grandkids at holidays. It instills the practice of teamwork. It shows the importance of family. It gives you the knowing and the joy of connecting with people you love. Not so bad for your tummy either. But it can also be quite scary, this tradition thing. And this is the peril. Some traditions that have been set in motion, centuries old, have brought this world to its knees from time to time. In 1948, 3 years after the adoption of the Charter of Human Rights by the UN, the General Assembly adopted the Universal Declaration of Human Rights because of traditions that existed and were still being practiced that imposed horrific acts upon human beings. We needed a Universal Declaration of Human Rights to stop those traditions, mainly women and people of color. As Ryan reminds us, it's how it had always been, and it's how they intended for it to stay. This is the peril of tradition. This is where it gets us in trouble. Now, I know that's a far cry from bacon cookies, but I invite you to consider the instilling of a set of values and routines through our practices and actions. Are they still valid? Are they still relevant or acceptable? Is this where we start to have that very tender conversation about white privilege? Are we hiding behind our traditions, our traditional thoughts, our traditional practices, and we're oblivious to what is happening to a whole race or group of people? Instilling a set of values. Is that what we're doing? Unknowingly, unwittingly? Because there's not a person in this room that in their heart would do that from a conscious state of mind. Are we holding on to traditional thoughts and patterns because that's the way we've always done it? Or are we holding on to those because we are in a place that Eckhart Tolle calls ordinary unconsciousness? From his book, The Power of Now. I just learned this week in our Wednesday book club, so you can always join us, 7:30 on Wednesdays. Ordinary unconsciousness, where we are run by the egoic mind and unaware of being. Aren't we adding to or even supporting ideas and practices that are no longer relevant and no longer acceptable by our ordinary unconsciousness? Every nation and culture has traditions that they're maintained in the present, but their origins all rest, of course, in the past. And they're all about being established or inherited in ways of thinking. Again, I'm not tossing out the power of tradition and the positive impact that it can have and does have. But I'm inviting us to be conscious of them, perhaps review them, perhaps reframe our traditions, perhaps release some of them, because they no longer fit who we are. Unity principle number 3 says this: through thoughts, words, and actions, we live the truth we know. Have we examined our traditions or our traditional thoughts about things like racism, things like injustice, things like freedom? Have we looked at those principles to see how they align with, through thoughts, words, and actions, we're living our truth? Do those traditions truly align with our truth? It's a really amazing conversation to start to have. It's one that I didn't really start out in this talk to have. But if we are not practicing consciousness around every thought that we hold, then we're inviting ourselves into that ordinary unconsciousness. We are divine children of God. We are the expression of God, is what our unity principles tell us. And so is everyone else. And so if our traditions are kind of veering us off a little, we need to take a peek. We need to pay attention. We need to be present. We need to realize that what we're teaching and what we're learning and what we're living applies in all areas. And it's our work to dig in. It's our work to dig in and be responsible spiritual beings so that we can be that greatest expression that God is in us. How do we do this? How do we do this? I was hoping you had the answer. I was hoping you knew. Love. That's how we do it. You know, today is, well, not today, but this weekend is Labor Day. You know, Labor Day, the tradition of labor was that you worked really hard. And most of the time, Labor Day, of course, was founded around the laborers and the workers, that it was time to start appreciating them. It was time for somebody to stand up and say, these people matter and they make our country go. But the tradition was just work them until they drop. That was the tradition. Today, we stand and we celebrate Labor Day. A lot of times it gets translated into picnics and gets translated into, family gatherings. Probably not so much this year. We have a new opportunity for a new tradition about what Labor Day is. We get to do that this year. I'm neither old elite or new elite money. So don't wear white after Labor Day. Why does that apply to me? Work until they drop. Why does that apply when we know that our workforce is what drives so many things in our world? Why does it apply? Why does the tradition of thinking that this is my community, and we say all are welcome, but then we don't always act that way? When do we start to move back to the spiritual beings that we are and the expression that we're invited into? In a magazine article in Aint, Josh Linkner says this: if you think about it, the whole idea of a tradition causes us to turn off our brains. It is the easy, lazy thing to do. Just blindly follow the past so you don't have to do the hard work of critical thinking in the present. A shout out to those folks that like to use that term, sheep. That is being a sheep, when you are not willing to look at your traditions and look at doing things better. And businesses will tell you and show you that they can't succeed with that mindset. What do we think that reflects in our lives? If we're not willing to keep opening up to the greater divine thought. Great leaders are advocates for change. While they respect the past, they win by adapting to the present and architecting for the future, Linkner tells us. They overflow with curiosity and open-mindedness. They love to challenge the status quo. They focus on what's possible. They love moving forward with conscious purpose. It's time to deeply question those traditions, and it is time to remember that love is that next step. If I can love into the realization that I have a tradition or I have traditional thoughts that move me away from my greatest expression, when I start loving myself from that place, then I can love others from that place. When I start showing up and believing that love truly will, like Ryan said in the song, set me free. All we have to do is put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. That's our job. It's us. That's our job. We're the ones. We're the ones. We're it. Weigh your traditions and your traditional thoughts against love. Hold them up against love. How are they standing up? How do they show up? How's that feel? People walk a tightrope on a razor's edge, carrying their hurt and hatred and weapons. It could be a bomb or a bullet or a pen, or a thought, or a word, or a sentence. It is through our thoughts, words, and actions that we live the truth we know. And the truth is we are divine beings, and so is everyone else. Everyone else. There are so many layers to this talk. There are so many layers to this subject. I could probably go on, and that wouldn't be appreciated, but it is worth remembering. And just step back and take a look. Like Eckhart Tolle tells us in The Power of Now, be the observer. Our essence is of God, and therefore we are inherently good. And it is worth taking a look at it. Love one foot at a time, one step at a time is the way that we do this. I invite you into holding your traditions up against love and bringing yourself into that expression. This is who you are. This is who we are. I appreciate you. I appreciate the freedom to have a conversation like this. I do. So thank you. We'll now enjoy the music of our Unity of Flagstaff music team as they perform the song, One Foot in Front of the Other. Thank you.
You gotta put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. Put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. You gotta put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. Put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. Don't give up hope. Don't give up hope. You're not alone. You're not alone. Don't you give up. Don't you give up. Keep moving on. Keep moving on. You gotta put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. Put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. You gotta put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. Put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. Lift up your eyes. Lift up your eyes. Don't you despair. Don't you despair. Look up ahead. Look up ahead. The path is there. The path is there. You gotta put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. One foot in front of the other and lead with love. You gotta put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. Put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. I know you're scared. I know you're scared. And I'm scared too. And I'm scared too. But here I am. But here I am. Right next to you. Right next to you. You gotta put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. Put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. You gotta put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. Put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. You gotta put one foot in front of the other and lead with love.
A big shout out to our music team. Thank you for opening our service with Creed of the Heart and closing our service with Lead with Love. That is what we're here to do after all, folks. And Unity of Flagstaff is here to support you on that spiritual journey. Let's consider some of those traditions that we've been so attached to. Are they serving us? Just a thought. And don't forget our prayer vigil. Be sure and get that information off of our website. Also, that is Wednesday, September 9th and ending on Thursday, September 10th. If you're interested in volunteering for that, contact me at office@unityofflagstaff.org. And my friends, right after this, 11 o'clock on Sunday, or whenever you're watching this, but 11 o'clock on Sunday, check out our Zoom. That is our social hour. Won't you join us? It's just about connecting. A lot of fun. You'll find that Zoom link on our website, of course, at www.unityofflagstaff.org. Be blessed, my friends. Stay healthy. Stay well. And together, standing in truth, we affirm. We move from fear to faith. Namaste.